We expected Android P to arrive in mid-March, but Google surprised us all and just released it out of the blue. Yes, Android P is here, when Android Oreo is on less than 2% of all Android devices. But that's a topic for another time. Right now, let's talk about Android P. Also, this video has been sponsored by AppMatch, an app recommendation service that suggests apps based on your interests. Now then, let's talk about Android P. First and foremost, Android P brings a lot of visual changes. I mean, if you look at the home screen, it looks very similar to Android Oreo. But there are a lot of changes. Here's what I'm talking about. As is customary for every new Android version, the Quick Settings pane has received a complete makeover with nice rounded buttons for all the toggles that now look really iOS-like. To be honest, I like this new design, so I have no complaints, and although the looks have changed, it works pretty much the same. Also, notifications on Android P have received quite the revamp as well, and they now sport a clean, minimal look with rounded corners all over the place. But that's not all. Notifications will now also be able to display images in the notification itself, making it much easier to see what someone has sent. Notifications in Android P also have native support for smart replies in messaging apps, and the option to save replies as drafts if implemented by the developer. This time around, the settings page has colored icons all over the place, and they do give a refreshing feel to what was otherwise a blue and white page on Android P is almost an exact replica of the Flux white substratum theme. Well played, Google. There are also changes in the way Android P handles animations. Moving between apps now has a side-to-side animation that looks very iPhone X-like. I mean, look at this. This is very simple. Yeah, Google has accepted that Android phones will have notches now, so I think it's about time we accepted it too. The Android P developer preview even lets you visualize what different notches will look like and how the app interacts with them. This is actually meant for developers to test their features out and should translate into apps that play well with notches on Android phones. But you can also use it to take a look at what future Android smartphones will look like. Thankfully, Android P has an editor built right into the OS itself. It's called Markup and brings a very basic editor that can let you crop, rotate or doodle on your screenshots. It's very similar to the screenshot tool that was introduced in iOS 11, so yeah, it does seem like Google is taking a lot of inspiration from iOS this time around. If you're living with a person like Rupesh, chances are you've woken up to find your phone in his hands with him going through all your personal stuff. Believe me, I know. Fortunately, Android P is making life better for us with a brand new feature called Lockdown. What it does is simple, just toggle the feature on and your phone will not unlock even if someone, Rupesh, tries to use your finger to unlock it while you're sleeping. Basically, it's something that locks your fingerprint scanner. That's awesome and definitely something people will use. Anyway, moving on to more changes in Android P, the low power mode is sort of going through an identity crisis right about now, with Google using at least two different names for the same thing. It's called Reduce Power Mode in the battery settings and Battery Saver in the quick settings style. More important though is the fact that Battery Saver mode can be set to automatically activate between any battery value between 5 and 70%. You know, for people who get panicky when their phone reaches 70%. It's all pretty pedestrian for me except one thing. The battery saver mode doesn't turn the status and navigation bar orange anymore, which is awesome because it looked terrible. It opens up new creative ideas in dual camera phones like accessing the camera feed from both the lenses at the same time or getting a seamless zoom and even for getting stereoscopic shots from dual camera phones. It's awesome, and developer power menu now has a screenshot button which is actually handy. The app info page keeps the uninstall and force quit buttons hidden in the 3-dot menu. Volume buttons change the media volume by default instead of ringer volume, which is a lifesaver. Lastly, do not disturb mode doesn't have all the priority only, alarms only type of things anymore. It's just do not disturb. First and foremost, apps in the background will no longer be able to access your camera, mic, or any of the other sensors on your phone, which is great for privacy reasons. Improvements have been made to the Android runtime, which should result in better app performance with lower resource usage. Apps can now use Wi-Fi RTT to calculate a user's indoor position. Autofill now has better support for third-party apps. Lastly, there are some power-related changes that I couldn't really understand, so I'll just leave that to you. Now let's talk about our sponsors. AppMatch is a service that suggests apps that are custom-fit to your interests. They have a variety of quizzes that you can take and get recommendations accordingly. Let's try out this Tech Life quiz. I can answer these questions, and at the end, the website shows the matches, which are basically apps that meet my interests. I can swipe left and right depending on whether or not I like them. The service is completely free, and you should check it out from the link in the description below.